Welcome to Easter Seals University. My name is Gladys Epps, and I'm here today to talk to you about TimeCo and specifically how it's used by exempt employees. The first thing that we need to talk about is how we log into the system. This system is a web-based system, and therefore you will log in by opening your browser and typing timeco.com. We'll look at that more specifically in just a moment. But let's first talk about your login name and password. Your login name is configured to be your first initial, last name, followed by our company code, which is at CA485. So here's what my login name looks like. GEPPS at CA485. You'll note that there are no spaces. Your password is configured to be your date of birth, but entered in a very specific way. It does not include any leading zeros in the number for the day or month. The year needs to be entered in 4-digit format, and it does include the slashes. So if my birthday were March 26, 1965, this is how I would enter that into the password field. Okay, so let's actually get into the system and see what it looks like. Again, as we just said, it's a web-based system, so we're going to open our browser and we're going to type in the address timecode.com. This takes us to the home page for TimeCo, and at the top of the screen you're going to notice the employee login shortcut over here on the right hand side. I'm going to click on that shortcut, and that will take us to a pop-up screen that is the employee workplace login screen. As you can see, the web address for this is much longer, which is why I didn't type it directly. I would recommend, however, that you bookmark this particular website or create a shortcut for yourself to make it quicker to come right back here to this space. The very first time that you log in, what I'd like you to do first is to change your password. This is critically important so that nobody is able to, after learning your date of birth, log into the system as you and edit in any way your information. Therefore, please, we ask you to change your password first by clicking on this Change Your Password shortcut at the bottom of the login screen. When you do so, it's going to enter the Change Password screen where you enter your login information, your current username, your current password, which is your date of birth entered in the format we just discussed, and then create a new password for yourself and confirm it. Once you've submitted that, then you will be taken back to this workplace login screen where you can use that information to log into the system. We're going to enter the system today as an employee who is an exempt employee like you and see what the system looks like for them, which is how you will see the system when you log in. I want to take just a moment so you can acclimate yourself to this screen, and I'll walk you through it a little bit. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you're going to notice a menu list broken up into 3 sections: time card, leave requests, and logout. Underneath each of those sections there may be specific detailed items that you can click into that will take us to different functions. In the main body of the screen, you're going to notice that you have a screen that displays whatever we've clicked on, and in this case it opens us up right on the time card. And in this case there are 2 screens that are available here, and they are divided up or sectioned by having tabs at the top of the screen, just like your browser does. So let's talk about how we use, as exempt employees, how we use the TimeCo system. We are not changing how exempt employees use the system compared to how we have been under a SureForce. So that means that your time card will only reflect the accrual or paid time off that you will receive in your pay. We will not be clocking in and out as exempt employees. So therefore, for example, for this employee, we put in a sample vacation day so that you could see what it looked like, And that's all we're seeing on this time card, even though the employee worked the entire pay period. You'll notice it's a vacation day. It's been approved, so it shows up on the time card. It's 7.5 hours, as all of us put in for accrual use for as exempt employees, and the date. Again, just like our AsureForce system, we will continue as employees to approve our time cards. In AsureForce, that was done by clicking a box next to employee approval. That same function is performed in TimeCo by clicking on this Submit Time Card button. When I click on that Submit Time Card, and I just want to go back to an earlier time frame to do that, when you click on that, it will come up with a message that says that you are affirming that all of these hours are correct when you submit it, when you click to submit. You're going to go ahead and click OK in that case, and it will submit the time card to your supervisor for them to approve. That will have to happen, as it does now, each pay period on Monday morning after the end of the pay period. So the week that we get paid, on Monday morning of that week, you're going to very first thing log in and submit your time card. The My Schedule tab is not used for exempt employees. That's a place for us to put in schedules for hourly employees. Going down the time card menu on the side, we'll see exception history. When I click on that, it opens a screen where we see a calendar. The only thing that exempt employees will see on this calendar are going to be the paid time offs that are showing on their time cards. So you can see that vacation day that we had as a sample in there for this employee. You'll see that reflected on the calendar. So this is just a different view for you to see your history of paid time off use. Let's move on to leave requests. Now when I click on the leave request menu item, that just opens that menu. It does not move us, you'll notice, off of the screen that we're on. To move screens, we actually have to click into the actual item, menu item underneath that section, which is View and Add Requests. On this screen, the header you'll see will give you an option of viewing the actual number of hours that you have available in accruals. Next to each particular type of time, there is a little calendar icon. Let me click on the vacation icon so that you can see what happens. Remember, we had that sample vacation day in here. So what this does is it opens up for that particular time benefit a list of the accrual balance that you have available, and it will list the accrual use that you have in the system, including your pending requests or the approved requests that you have for the future. This gives you a running total of your balance, and so it gives you a better sense of whether or not you have time available to enter the requests that you're about to do. The bottom part of the screen is a list of all of the current requests that you have in the system, whether they've been just entered and they're pending, approved, or denied. If I wanted to cancel a leave request that I've previously had approved, I click on it and then go down to the bottom here and click on Cancel Request. But let's take a look at how we enter a new request. Right at the bottom here you see the New Request icon, and then when I click on that, it brings up a new screen. You'll notice the header hasn't changed. It still gives us the option of looking at our accrual balance history. But the bottom part of the screen has changed. The very first field has number of days, and while there is already a 1 in there, regardless of how many days you went off, you still have to click on the little calendar icon just to the right of that. When I do that, it brings up a calendar in the current month, and I can scroll between months just as you can in any of these little lookup calendars, and I need to click on the days that I want off. So let's say I want the 14th off. I click on the 14th and then go down to the bottom of that calendar where it says Close and click on Close. And you'll notice in the field underneath, the date field, it's popped in the date in the format it needs it. But let's say I wanted to take multiple days. Let's go back and reopen that calendar, and you'll notice the 14th is still highlighted. If I wanted to take multiple days, then what I do is I hold down my Control key and I click on the days that I want to take. So if I wanted to take those 3 days, I would click on those 3 days. If I didn't hold down my control key, it would just flip between days. It wouldn't keep all 3 of them active. So once all 3 are highlighted, I'm going to click close, and you'll notice that it puts in all 3 of those dates. The number of hours field displays just to the right of each date, and for exempt employees that is 7.5 hours, so we're going to enter 7.5 hours for each day. One thing you need to keep in mind is this system doesn't jump holidays the way that a SureForce did. So let's assume that Monday was a holiday. We didn't mean to put that in here. We go back up to the calendar and we click on the 13th to unhighlight it, hit close, and it will remove that day. It did clear out our hours, so we're going to have to go back in and do that. The other thing that you can do if you got through the whole process and forgot and submitted and your request and that holiday was still in there as a vacation request, you could delete it the way that we saw on the previous screen. Now going down the screen, the department screen, you can see the department is there, and that is your home department. There's no option to change it. The category is the kind of leave that you want to take. So let's say this was a vacation leave. Down on the bottom, there's a comments box, and it's optional. You can use that if there's a message you want to send your supervisor while they're considering whether to approve this. Would like to go on a cruise. It is optional though, it's not required. However, there are 2 situations where it is required for you. Let's say this was sick leave because I had surgery coming up and I had gotten approved FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act leave from Human Resources. In this box I'm going to type FMLA so that HR knows this is leave that I've used, and my supervisor both know this is leave that I'm using based on that approved leave request. Likewise, if it were from a workers' comp injury and the doctor had put me out, I will put workers' comp in here. We do that not only so that HR can keep track of it, so that your supervisor, when they are monitoring your attendance for the attendance policy, that they're not going to hold these things against you. So it's very important to protect yourself by putting those messages in when those 2 things are appropriate. Once you get all this information in here, you're going to hit Submit Request, and it will submit a request to your supervisor, and you'll notice it puts it in submitted form. Your supervisor, once they act on it, the status will change appropriately based on what they do. The last thing is logging out. You'll notice the last menu item on the left-hand side here is log out, and that's how you will log out of the system once you're finished. And I do ask you to use the log out properly to end your session rather than to use the X at the upper right-hand side of your browser. So we're going to log out of here. I do want to show you in the corporate library there is a tool that you may find helpful. In the computer information software, you'll notice now we have a TimeCo folder, and in here are tools for each classification of employee for based on how you log into the system and use it. And for you, the exempt employee login will give you instructions that give you screenshots and instructions for what we've just discussed in case you forget anything we've talked about. I thank you so much for your time today, and just a friendly reminder, if you are a new employee, please don't forget to pull out your new employee training log and mark down the date that you're viewing this video. Thank you and have a wonderful day.